Over the last 3 weeks, I've been testing out Flux Kontext, and honestly, it has some of the most insane AI image editing capabilities. It is literally built for complete creative control when it comes to generating and editing your images. With the multimodal capabilities, Flux Kontext can understand both images and text, which is quite insane. Now this allows you to generate any type of image with just natural language, and it does an insane job at keeping consistency across all of your images. That means you can apply style transfer. For example, I can turn this image into a Van Gogh, into a 3D pixel, into an anime, but also some really good image editing capabilities. For example, here I can change the shirt to a different color. And lastly, you can keep your character or your object consistent, but you can reframe it into a different type of shot using a different lens, for example fisheye, or you can change the camera angle. Now that is just the service level of Flux Kontext. In this video we will do a deep dive on how to use Flux Kontext. I will show you all the prompts that I've used, and I will teach you how you can do all of this yourself. So make sure to follow along the entire video in order to master this tool. In order to access Flux Kontext, we need to go to OpenArt. I will leave a link to that in the description down below where you can sign up. After you've signed up on OpenArt, you go to create an image. Then you select your model, which is Flux Kontext Pro in this case, or you can also use Flux Kontext Max, but we're using Pro. And then here you can enter in your prompt. So here I got a red vintage Mustang driving through the desert at golden hour. Then moving on, you can have your Omnireference, which I will get into in a little bit. This is super powerful, but we're not using that right now. And then you can change the output size. I will want to go with a portrait. And then you can select the number of images. The more images you generate, like the more credits it will cost, but you will also have multiple images to choose from. So here we have 2 images of a red Mustang, and now this is all generated with Flux Kontext. What we can now do is we can use this as an Omnireference. So what we do here is, so now we have selected that image that we just generated, and now we can do simple things like change the color of the car to blue, keep everything else the same. So now we can do a simple prompt like changing the color of the car while keeping it all consistent. So now we have this image of the red car turned into a blue car, and it is just as consistent. But that's not the only thing you can do. You can also, let's go back to the red car, and change the daylight, for example. So now we are at sunlight, and I'm gonna change this image to daylight. So now we can change this image to daylight, and now you can see the lighting looks a lot different, but the rest is all the same. That's the idea of Flux Kontext. It keeps insane consistency while it allows you, just by using natural language, to change up your prompts. So let me give you a different example. So here I have my prompt. Then I'm gonna remove this Omnireference as we're not using that. And now let's create. So this is about a blonde lady that has a white tank top and she has a linen shirt. So this is my character. So now we can choose between these 2 images. So let's do this one, for example. We can use this as the Omnireference. So now what we do is we click on this, click on history, and now we use this image as the Omnireference. And now we can totally change her outfit. We can change the setting, but we can keep her consistent. So for example, let's make her wear a beanie and a winter jacket. And it's also snowing in the background. So now we got the same consistent character, but she's now wearing a jacket, she has a beanie on, she has a cup of coffee in her hands, and she has the same exact face as our other character. So this is just the service level of what you can do with Flux Kontext. Now let's dive into a bit more of the specifics. All of what I'm about to show you has all been generated using OpenArt, no editing, no nothing. Now the first thing I want to talk about is style transfer, and to explain what this means is it is as follows. So this is called a style. This style is called psychedelic. Now what I then did is I used this image of this leopard and I put this as an Omnireference. Then in my prompt box, I put in make this in psychedelic style. So then it transferred that style onto my original image, and now we have this cool looking like psychedelic vibe image of this leopard. Moving on, I got this image of me, which is kind of like a selfie shot, motion blur, and here I turn it into Disney Pixar style. Literally how I did this is I prompted it, turn this image into Disney Pixar style, and then I used this original image as a subject reference. So that is just one of the ways of how you can do style transfer, but you can make some pretty unique stuff with this. So for example, here I have my original image, and now I put it into a pen drawing. Now look at the details of how accurate it looks. So here we have another example. I put it now in Dreamcore and Liminal Fantasy. The prompt is literally turn this image into Dreamcore plus Liminal Fantasy, and then you get something like this. Now let's do this again. It's something like mythological sci-fi. This makes for some pretty cool images like this. Now all of these styles maintain the same type of consistency. The character is the same, but it changes slightly depending on what type of style you attach to it. Now Flux Kontext is great at contextual understanding, and what that means is with just prompting, it can understand what you want to change. For example, I got this image of a cat wearing a bow tie and a hat. Now I just prompted it, remove the cat's head and the bow tie. Now we get the exact same image and we have the exact same background, the exact same pose, but the head is removed and the bow tie is removed. You no longer need Photoshop to do this, you can just do this by prompting it inside of Flux Kontext in OpenArt. Moving on, let's take that image as now the original image, and now we can just say, turn this into a black cat. And now as you can see, we have kind of like the same pose going on. It's a slightly different cat, but that is because it is a black cat, and everything else is still the same. So now let's take that black cat and put them into a different background. It can understand what you want with this. That's the contextual understanding. So here it understands that I want to change the background, but I want to keep the same in terms of like the pose, the colors, and the characters. And I will dive a little bit deeper into like the prompting techniques after this. But making sure that you say maintain the same pose, the colors, and the character features allows you to keep consistently in your image, but just changing small minor details, in this case the background. Now let's go a bit more crazy. So now I put this image as my Omnireference, and this is the image as the Omnireference, and then I said make everything snowy. So we have the exact same cat, the exact same pose, but now it's just snowing. Look how powerful this is. This cannot be done in Photoshop. Like, this would be very hard to do in Photoshop. Without AI, something like this wouldn't be possible. And it wasn't even possible before. But now, thanks to the Omnireference, you can do this very easily inside of Flux Kontext. Another part where this shines is inside of the character consistency. So here I have this image of this fish dude. So I made this image using Flux Kontext, just prompting a simple image of a guy looking like a fish. He's kind of dumb. And then I said, make him fishing. So here we have the next image. He's now fishing. Same pose, same outfit, same dumb look to his face, but he is on a boat fishing on a lake. Now I took that same original image and I said he's at the bar enjoying a beer. So now we have him sitting at the bar, a beer in his hands, and he's just enjoying life. The character consistency remains the same. Like, there's no difference here. The pose is slightly different and you can just keep going on with this. So then I took this image as the Omnireference, and then I made this image right here. Once again, this is all made inside of OpenArt. Just say, now there are two of them. And then the subject reference is this original image. So literally what you do is you go over to Flux Kontext and here you upload that image. And then you prompt it right here and you click on create. The only thing I changed is to change the sizing to make it widescreen. So now if we go back, then you can see that now there are two of them enjoying a beer. So now let's level up a little bit and let's take this image as the input image. So that's the input image right here. And now we make him red. And because they're looking quite weirdly, because that's the original image, I want them to look kind of like at each other or look a bit weird. So that's what I did. This character is now red. They're still enjoying that beer. And all of that is possible thanks to Flux Kontext. Now, when it comes to using Flux Kontext, the biggest obstacle that people will face is the prompting consistency. So let me walk you through how you can obtain like consistency while doing your prompting. So here I got this image of this model right here. This image is like a pretty long prompt. A stylish woman with long dirty blonde hair, fair skin, and relaxed fit build. She's wearing high-waisted light blue jeans and a simple white tank top tucked in. As you can see already, quite detailed. That's because I wanted to have a specific look. Now, how I made this was using, you can either use Flux Kontext for this or using Flux Dev. Flux Dev is also quite good in my opinion, for generating like text to images. Now, what I want to do is I want to edit this image. So I use this here as an Omnireference. And now let's change the prompt slightly. So here inside of the prompt box, I'm gonna change it to she now holds a can of Coke in her hands. Maintain, and this is very important, maintain the exact face, expression and hair, outfit and background. So what this does, it tells the model in natural language, like I want to keep everything the same, I just want her to hold a can of Coke. So make sure you have Omnireference enabled and then you can choose your size. So for this, let's go portrait 3x4. And then you click on create. We now have 2 images of her holding a can of Coke. You can choose which one you prefer the most. Now compared to the original image, I think this one looks best. Now let's spice it up a little bit. Let's use this last image as the new Omnireference and then we can prompt it. So I have my prompt right here. Change her outfit to a purple dress, maintain the exact face expression and keep her hair and the background the same. So let's see what it creates now. And this part, the last part, maintain the exact this and this, is the most important part because sometimes the image model will change it. Also make sure you have auto enhance off. If you enable this, then it will come up with different settings and it will add a few things into your prompt which you don't want. Cool, so now we have our image. She has a purple dress. It's followed the prompt exactly. The only thing that throws me off a little bit is the hand inside her pocket because most dresses I know don't have pockets, like girls barely even have pockets. So that is the only thing that is strange here. But what you can do now is you can also change her pose. So what I can also do is I can just make her hold the can of Coke with 2 hands. So simply prompt it like that and then we get something like this. Cool, so now we have that problem fixed with her hands and now let's put her on the beach. So again, just upload your image reference here. Then we click on here and then we use the prompt. Let's put a few things together, change the background to standing on the beach during sunset, so that will also change the lighting. Now the outfit and the hair will all maintain the same, but now we have this girl standing on the beach like this. Honestly, this is quite sick. You can even do this with images of yourself, so you can flex that you're on holiday all the time on your Instagram, if you want to be that guy. You can do this with logos and text as well. It has a good understanding of text and it can also apply logos to anything that you want. For example, what I can do is I can use this image that I have of the NASA logo and I can put this onto a soda can. So I have this prompt, place this logo on a soda can with colorful abstract patterns. Now let's put this in square. And now we can create this image. Cool, okay, so now we have this can of soda, but let's make this person hold it. So what you can do is you can upload up to 4 images, so you can combine and mix different images together. So now let's put this can of soda in there. Then we also let's put the original image of my girl. Then we combine these images together and then we say a female model holds the can of soda in front of her, heavy focus on the can, motion blur on the background. So now let's see what it comes up with. So there we have it. She's now holding this can of soda. The only thing that I would say is a bit bad in this case, or it struggles with a little bit, is that it goes a little bit disproportional. So here it works, but sometimes it can also make the can a lot bigger or a lot wider. The cool thing about OpenArt is that you can also use the image to video feature. So now we can make a video of her holding that can of soda. So we can choose any type of model. For example, you can even do VO3, although like VO3, doesn't matter what platform you're using, everywhere it's quite expensive. So I tend to use Kling 2.1 and I'm either using the standard or the pro version, which is just 200 credits. Now what I can do is I can just create it like this, or I can even prompt it. So if you have a specific shot in mind, then you can say zoom in on the can of soda handheld shot. And now we have these 2 videos, one without a prompt and this one with a prompt. Moving on, one of the most powerful things about this is reframing your existing images. So you can have insane consistency in terms of your character or your object, but you can just put it into different positions. Take a look at this example. I got this image right here of this girl standing here on the street. Now what I can do is I can reframe the shot, or I can kind of like change the style. For example, here I made her stand there at night and then I made her stand here at sunset. So you have the exact same model, just a different type of lighting. Now, what I can also do is I can change the shot type. So for example, here I'm using the original image, then here I applied motion blur just by simply prompting it. And then here I applied a fisheye lens. Slightly different pose as well, but the fisheye lens gives some cool effects. Now, moving on, we can also change the model of how she's standing. For example, here I made her a 180-degree turn, and here I have a side angle. You can also change this into a video. So here, for example, I had image to video, and then I got this cool video like this. If you want to try out Flux Kontext for yourself alongside all the other tools inside of OpenArt, then click the link in my description. And right now, OpenArt is running a 50% discount on all of their plans. And if you use my code, which is on the screen right now and in the description, then you get an extra 20% off. Now, if you have any questions about Flux Kontext, then let me know. And if you want to know how you can use OpenArt to build consistent characters, then check out the video that's on the screen right now.